Hey guys, what's up? lightboltjoe here. Today we're going to discuss the 2014 musical comedy drama adventure adaptation action Into the Woods. Walt Disney Pictures presents Into the Woods, based off of the Stephen Sondheim Broadway musical from the late 80s. This movie stars Meryl Streep, Emily Blunt, Chris Pine, God, so many people. Johnny Depp's in it. So many people. James Corden's in it. James Corden's hysterical in it. James Corden's hysterical in anything he does. Him and Emily play the baker and baker's wife. Chris Pine plays one of the princes. Movie was well done. I was very nervous when they announced this because I'm a big, massive fan of the musical. I did the musical a couple times, stage versions of it. I have a DVD of the original cast performing it on Broadway from the 80s. It is such a long show, but well done. It is so poetic and it's so tragic, but gorgeous at the same time. It brings together the Grimm's Brothers fairy tales. So you have Red Riding Hood, you have Cinderella. Anna Kendrick's in this movie. Love Anna Kendrick. You have Meryl Streep as well. Completely forgot that. She plays the witch. You have Jack and the Beanstalk, you have Red Riding Hood, you have Sleeping Beauty, Rapunzel, Cinderella. I feel like I'm missing some people. The other people, other Grimm's characters are brought into this. The Giants, the No One Is Alone song always gets me. Anywhere, any adaptation, whether it's the Broadway show, whether it's me seeing it as a stage production somewhere, whether it's this movie here, the Walt Disney musical. Now, my friend and I, back in 2014, were invited to see a pre-screening in Manhattan, as we did many a times. And it was fun. Like, we would go see the pre-show, like, we got to see before everybody else. But we didn't know that this was a critics viewing. So we were, like, the only, like, civilians in this, like, gorgeous theater, specifically for critics. All these people with their notepads, and, like, we sat in, like, the front row, because, like, what civilian needs to sit mid-row? You just throw us in the front. So it was the civilian row, basically. So we sat next to this other guy, and I was like, dude, like, I'm nervous for this movie because, like, it's a very adult-oriented show. And one of the big lines in the beginning songs is Meryl Streep's character of the witch is talking about the baker's father, how the baker's father would used to steal vegetables from her garden, and she'd be like, oh, he was robbing me, raping me, rooting through my rutabagas, and there's a rap, etc. And I was like, man, like, this is a Disney show. I don't think they're gonna put robbing me, raping me in the actual song, because it's a good line. It just brings in the story of how real, how important, not so much fantasy, but like real life reminiscent kind of a thing. Like, this is, like, happening. Like, don't take it like it's just a fairy tale. Like, this is going on. Like, I felt robbed. I felt harmed. It was important. But then, this was 4 years ago, and the musical was 30 years ago. So, now in this political climate, it's clearly frowned upon, but it's an important line in the show. Super important. And they actually kept the line in the movie. I was so excited to see it. Because I didn't think it was going to be there. But it's important because it brings the whole feel of the film, of the show, of the story. Wonderful. Act 1 is very different than Act 2. Act 2 is very sad. Very sad. Act 1 is more whimsical. And anytime you see, like, a kid's version, like a children's show of it, it's just Act 1. They never touch Act 2. Because Act 2, everyone's dead. Pretty much. Now, Chris Pine did a fantastic job as the prince. And the song that he and his brother sing, Agony, as they're, like, whimsically jumping around a stream in a tiny little waterfall, the entire theater was laughing their asses off. And I will never forget that there was actual mid-applause from all these critics in Manhattan for the pre-showing of this while watching that scene. And it was hysterical. We were all dying of laughter. And that's the scene that everyone talks about when you talk about Disney's Into the Woods. They're like, Disney's Into the Woods. And they're like, oh yeah, Chris Pine on the waterfall. Like, that's what everyone mentions because it's hysterical. Now, James Corden did a fantastic job. Highlights. I'm just talking highlights here. Something happens. Something tragic happens. And he's running through the woods. Go figure, right? Into the woods. And there's a song that they cut from the musical that plays as background music, and he's getting super upset. And in the show version, it's his father's ghost basically is talking to him and singing to him, and it's his real moment. And James just like loses it. He just starts crying in the woods, and you hear that like crescendo up, and like it gets louder, and then it fades away, and then the next scene happens. And like, I understand why they cut it. There's a lot of songs that were cut from the movie, but the movie is super long to begin with. But it's a super long show. It's like almost 3 hours a show. So if it's a Disney thing. They can't push a 3-hour musical on someone. I get it, because it's an adult musical. It's not a kid musical. And just seeing James cry in the woods was so moving. Like, I didn't really know that much about him back when that film came out. The only thing I knew about him prior to that was he was in Three Musketeers. I forget his character name. Ponji? I think it was Ponji. What year was that? 2013? 2011? I don't know. I don't remember it. Logan Lerman plays D'Artagnan in the film, and it's steampunk, and Orlando Bloom's in it, and it's gorgeous. And for some reason it wasn't a success, but it had all the elements of being a successful film. It had action. We'll talk about at another time. I'm getting off track, but my point is that's the first thing I ever saw James Corden in. And then he has his late show, Corporal Karaoke, musical sidewalks, crosswalk stuff. James is a genius, absolute genius. He's funny, he's smart, he's innovative, he's passionate, he's creative. We'll praise James Corden another time. But what was the point about? Oh, Emily Blunt as his wife. She did a great job as the baker's wife. Emily Blunt and Meryl Streep. This was their second film together. First one being 2006's Devil Wears Prada. Second one being this 2014's Into the Woods. Third being the one that just came out, Disney's Mary Poppins Returns. Now, Rob Marshall directed both Into the Woods and Mary Poppins Returns. David, what's his last name? Fletcher? David Fletcher? I think it's Fletcher. F-L-E-T. Fletcher. Did Devil Wears Prada, 2006 Devil Wears Prada. We'll talk about it another time. But it's nice seeing actors who act well together act in other things. Like Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter are in almost every Tim Burton film. And it's fun seeing that. I like seeing that. It's fun. You know? It's because you know how well they work together. So it's nice seeing the chemistry go, to other films. So, yeah. Into the Woods. 2014's Disney's Into the Woods. What did you guys think? Are you guys as jazzed about the movie version, or are you more jazzed about the Broadway version? Both have their pluses and minuses. I thought it was a good adaptation. That's all I got. Mucho mahalo, guys.